Hi guys, this is going to be a pretty short part of our Back to Basics series. I've had a couple questions lately about getting into tumblers. I've been doing this for so long at this point that I have so much stuff, but you don't need all of this stuff to begin with. This is stuff you kind of accumulate as you go. Some of this stuff, if you're already a crafter, you might already have. And pretty much everything is available through Amazon if you don't want to invest in the higher end products to begin with. Okay, sorry about that. So, the most important things for tumbler making are going to be a turner of some sort, your epoxy, and obviously cups. What you put on top of that cup doesn't, sky's the limit. But those are your basic three things. Some PPE. We'll go over that briefly, but turners, every single turner I have currently in use is an Amazon turner. I have never invested in a super fancy high-end turner, and actually I do have a couple turners in my closet that are Spin It brand from Michaels. The newer one is nicer than the original one. But I like those for certain techniques because the motor runs much, much faster than any of my Amazon ones. But they are single directional, and I don't know if the new one's single directional or multi-directional. I prefer a multi-directional so I can stop the rotation of the spin and turn it the other way depending on technique. These are my newest Amazon turners. I still haven't finished converting them. Maybe someday I'll get to that, but they're just a very simple construction. They'll come with an arm. These are not the easiest removable arms, but if you're brand new to this, you're probably not going to be pulling them on and off all that much to begin with anyhow. By the time I convert them, my arms are all universal and will come off and work with any of my turners. But the turner you buy will have some kind of arms. Generally, they come with between 2 and 4 and some kind of padding to hold your cup on. So, Amazon has turners anywhere from $20 and up. So if you just want to have a play and see if it's something you like, any of this style of Amazon turner will work just fine. So a turner, important. Cups. I typically order hogs from Stainless Depot now, or I order from Makerflow, because I like a wide variety of cups. You can just pick up cups at Walmart or Five Below if they have them, or Dollar General if they have them. I actually started with Dollar Tree cups because they had stainless cups at the time, and they were good practice cups for me as I was learning new techniques. You don't have to invest in whole cases of cups to begin with. Yes, it's cheaper, but when you're just starting and you don't even know if you're going to like something, the less you have to spend, the better. Epoxy. I'm not going to tell you what to buy for epoxy. I never am like, oh, you have to use this one. This one's the best, because what I'm going to say is the best this week may not work for me tomorrow. We're actually kind of cold and damp right now, and I would never ever recommend this one to a beginner, but the Fast Set Turbo from CC DIY is currently basically the only epoxy that's working for my environment. So, none of my Old Faithfuls are working currently because it's colder and damp this spring. So, next week, if the weather changes, my other epoxies might start working again. My advice for epoxy is order a sample size if the company offers it. If they don't have a sample size, they will probably have like a 16-ounce kit, which is 8 ounces of A and 8 ounces of B, because you're going to have a 2-part epoxy that you're going to mix together equally. 16 ounces is typically the smallest size you're going to find if there's not a sample. buy that and try it. And if it works for you and you like the finish, great, buy more. And if you don't, at least you're not out a ton of money. Because I have an entire gallon kit of something that worked for me 2 years ago when I tried it, or 3 years ago now, whatever it was. And it doesn't work for me right now. So I'm hoping that maybe come summertime, that'll work and I can actually work my way through that gallon. Otherwise, it was a very expensive mistake. So you may have to test a few epoxies to get one that works well for you. And make sure whatever your epoxy you're using is safe for incidental contact with food, because it is a cup people are going to be drinking from it. So next on my list, we'll say PPE. Some people are going to say always wear a respirator, always wear a respirator, always wear a respirator. I don't wear a respirator. I admit it. Makes me claustrophobic. I can't stand wearing it. And I'm in and out of here when I'm working on tumblers so fast after I put the epoxy on that, and it's such a small quantity that I'm not terribly concerned about it. I work all night with chemicals every night, and I guarantee I'm doing more damage to myself at work than I am here in my craft room. So if you feel the need to wear a respirator, buy yourself a good one from Amazon. You'll want the VOC cartridges for it, and that's personal preference. You will want nitrile gloves, not vinyl gloves, nitrile. That'll keep your hands protected. You may find you have contact dermatitis with epoxy, and you might find you have contact dermatitis with only one brand epoxy, but not this brand of epoxy. My very favorite brand that I used for 3 years, I got wicked contact dermatitis. I would get it, it would touch above my glove on my wrist, and my wrist always looked terrible. But I absolutely loved that epoxy, so I kept using it and just tried to be careful. I'd recommend having a sugar scrub to wash your hands. I make my own. I do have videos on how I make mine further back. Maybe I'll update that next week because I am currently out. But I find that to be the safest, best way to wash your hands and your arms. If you have gotten epoxy on yourself, please don't clean your hands with acetone or alcohol. That can get leached into your bloodstream. I know acetone will eat through your rubber gloves, so sometimes we do get it on our hands. Yes, they use it on your nails at the nail salons or at home for nail polish remover, but extended long-term contact with it or washing that big a surface is highly not recommended. Yes, I know hand sanitizer is like 60% alcohol, but it is not the 91 or 99 that we are using for our epoxy. And again, we're just rubbing it on quick. We're not sitting there repeatedly trying to scrub with alcohol. So that's basically it for PPE though. Your respirator and your gloves. You will need some kind of cups for mixing your epoxy. I fully recommend for beginners that you mix in small batches in the 1 ounce or 30 ml medicine cups. You can get these on Amazon. I wait for Allegro Medical to have a $10 minimum free shipping sale. And then I'll buy medicine cups and gloves sometimes, whatever costs that $10, and I'm always typically ahead on measuring cups. And then you'll need something to mix your epoxy with. This is my favorite tool currently, this little mixer. I've been buying these on Temu. You can get them all over Amazon too though. But it's got the mixing end, and then it's got the little scoop end that I like for my glitter and my diamond dust. You'll see me using these a lot. I try to remember to wipe them off immediately because sometimes when the epoxy dries on them, when I'm trying to chip it off, I'll end up ripping them, which is why I have so many. So before you even get to your epoxy, when you have your cup though, people are going to give you varying information on whether you need to sand the tumbler before you paint it. I've done it both ways. Sometimes I will sand to prep, sometimes I will just go straight to it. I don't actually find it makes a difference until and if I have to actually strip that cup. So put in the level of prep you want to put into your tumbler, because you will see people spend 10 minutes sanding a tumbler and you will see people pulling it right out of the box and using it. Neither way is necessarily wrong. And in my experience, and having enough of my own cups that are 4, 5, 6 years old, I have not found a difference. So I am basically at the point where I take it out of the box and go straight to spray paint. Which brings me to spray paint. I have a wide variety of spray paint. You are going to, at the very least, when you start, need probably white, maybe black. And if you're using a paler glitter, you're probably going to at some point want like that color of glitter in a spray paint as your base. White will work, but it might not get you as good a coverage. You might have to do 2 coats of glitter, versus if your spray paint matched, you can probably get away with 1 coat of glitter. So, but this is, I have more on my porch. That's usually completely full, but this is my, 6-year collection of spray paint from the red up. I also have clear spray paint, but bare minimum, start with whites. I recommend a semi-gloss finish, because that's more versatile for different techniques. So you got your tumbler, your spray paint, you're ready to make a cup. What kind of cup do you want to make? Do you want to do a glittered tumbler? You can glitter several ways. You can use Mod Podge, or you can go right onto a coat of epoxy. If you're going right onto a coat of epoxy, it's going to be a very thin coat of epoxy. Then you're going to glitter onto that. I do recommend a decent quality glitter, a craft cut polyester, a polyester glitter, not, you can buy them at the craft store, but buy the good ones. Some of the Dollar Tree glitters and the super dirt cheap, you're spending $1 for a thing this big, they may leach their color, and they're a coated glitter. They're not a solid sheet that's been ground into glitter. So craft store glitter is perfectly fine. Otherwise, there's 1,000,001 glitter vendors out there. So, and glitter is something that your collection is going to grow as you go. When I started, I had 10 colors of glitter. Now I don't even know how many colors of glitter, because I have all my bottles lined up on my shelf. And I have 2 complete compartments in here that are full of bagged glitter. So glitter is going to be one of your main components, though. So again, you're going to start a collection and it's going to grow. Mica powders are going to be the same. I started with a box of 50 colors of mica powder from Amazon that was fairly inexpensive. I had other mica powders actually from card making and other crafting, but I didn't have a huge variety of color in those, so I did buy one of the 50 color packs, and now I have mica coming out my ears. So the other thing you may want is alcohol inks. There's 1,000,002 alcohol inks on the market now. For a beginner, it doesn't have to be this set. I love the Pinata Exciter packs. Tim Holtz has some. This is a full range of color in a box from T-Rex. I have one like this from Unicorn Arts. But if you want a full rainbow of color, get one of this type of sampler set, or the Pinata Exciter pack, or something like that. If you want to just test it to see if you like it, pick up a 3-pack of the Ranger Tim Holtz ones, and just give it a try. We've already covered alcohol. You're going to have a bottle of 91% isopropyl alcohol in your room. You're just going to. You're going to use it for cleaning things up. You're going to use it for blending inks. You're going to use it for if you want to do a waterfall ink technique. It's cheap. Just buy it. Also buy yourself a thing of acetone, because you're going to want that for cleaning any overspray of spray paint inside your cups. But those are like the bare basics things you're going to need for cleaning the inside of your cup. I actually like to use just a piece of magic eraser in the acetone. And at minimum, you're going to need some kind of a craft knife for cleaning the top of your cup. For decals and vinyl, I basically only use Butterfly Lane Design for anything printed at this point. Almost everything you've seen me do is her stuff now. Regular vinyl, buy whatever. Don't buy plain vinyl if you don't have like a Cricut to cut your own decals or something though, because you're really not going to use it if you don't have a cutting machine. My Cricut's right over my shoulder here. I've had a Cricut since the first one came out in 2006, so that's not an issue for me. If you're going to want to stripe your vinyl, I highly recommend one of those like 36-pack, 12-color, 3-size nail tapes from Amazon. Nail tape can be frustrating at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's not as frustrating. But I really think that those are like the most basic things you need. Once you figure out what epoxy you like and you're going to buy it in a bigger quantity, I highly, highly recommend the honey bottles from Amazon. These are like the 16-ounce honey bottles. I didn't make a label for this one. These I found to be the best for measuring into small quantity. I started out with the FIFO bottles, condiment bottles, you know, like you see at Subway for sauces, and I found them to be a bit of a nightmare, personally. They end up leaking because they open at the top and the bottom, and no matter which way I stored them, upside down or right side up, they would leak, and so I spent a lot of money on those and didn't use them for very long. And I found with like the squeeze ketchup and mustard bottles, if my epoxy was cold, the lid would blow off and it would be a huge mess. So I've been using the honey bottles for probably a good 3 years now, and I think they are the cat's pajamas. But those are the very, like, to me, essential things you're going to want. That's what you're going to need to start. And then everything else can kind of grow from there. If you're enjoying it, you'll add to it. So that is it. Hopefully this is helpful. If there's something I didn't touch on, let me know. Or if you need to know like where to start with an epoxy for your climate, maybe you can put, you know, not your address obviously, but kind of where you're from in the comments, and maybe people can suggest what they use in their area if they see it, because like I said, there's a lot of epoxies out there and they don't all work for everybody. They just don't. So I think that's it. And as always, I do try to get to comments, but I don't always get to all of them. But I do try to at least, like, if it's a question, at least get that answered. So that is it, and I will see you next time.